Hi, everybody. It is Tuesday. I changed my shirt, but I'm pre-recording this on the same day, so I'm still not feeling great. So bear with me. But I'm talking today about the EA Apex Legends. I'm not even going to call it a controversy. And so I'll just tell you basically what the story is about. I was surprised how many people asked me about this. So I thought, all right, this is relevant enough to talk about it, but I'm probably going to take a bit of a different spin on it than you might expect. So hang with me. Apex Legends is basically a battle royale type game, like Fortnite type thing that EA launched. And the big deal about this is apparently that they have a gay character and a non-binary gender character playable, and this is revealed in their backstory right at the beginning, like right at launch. Apparently what makes this different is that Overwatch revealed that Tracer and Soldier 76 are not straight. I forget if they're actually gay or whether they're bisexual or pansexual or whatever, but they revealed that later. This is right off the bat. These characters are gay, and articles of Apex Legends characters are gay, and some fans are totally freaking out. And I think this is really, I know it gets clicks. From a business point of view, I understand why people do that, but I think this is sort of a crappy replacement for actual journalism. Let me show you these characters so you get a bit of a sense of what I'm talking about. Here's Bloodhound. This is the non-binary character. So you see, if you read their bio, they use they as the pronoun. It's their identity is a mystery wrapped in layers of rumor. They are fabulously wealthy, a bloodthirsty murderer, a Goliath whisperer, a former slave, half bat, and a dozen other things depending on who's doing the whispering. Excuse me. Fine. Non-binary pronoun, voiced by a woman, but, the character is non-binary. Fine. It's 2019. That's great. Awesome. I think it's kind of actually a cool looking character. Interesting kind of twist that they're doing sort of the not exposed face. Most of the time when they do a character like this, they just sort of default to guy. So I think this is kind of cool. Certainly on the lither body type, the smaller hands, sort of leaning, looking more, looks like a more cinched in waist, slightly fuller hips. So looking more female, but that's pretty cool that they are they. And here's Gibraltar, who's the gay character. There's one. However, he only began to understand the value of protecting others when he and his boyfriend stole his father's motorcycle, took it on a joyride, and got trapped by a deadly mudslide. That, again, cool looking character. That's it. It's not relevant to how the characters play. It's just in the backstory. I think that's super fine. It matters a lot for people who, need that sort of identity-based validation in games. It is a completely legitimate, creative decision. It doesn't affect how the characters play at all. So, I responded to it with a giant meh. When I first heard about it. I don't play battle royales. I don't have the time to spend that much time just playing the same thing over and over again online. And no slight to people who like them. You guys know I just like adventure games. I like puzzles. I like things with plot. I like my shooters, but I like a single player experience. I've tried multiplayer. I find it boring. I don't really like it. It's too repetitive for me. Just my taste. Hi, Scouty. Then I started seeing these, and I'm not even going to link to them because I wanted to see how big the backlash was. And to me, if it's just a few idiots on forums who can't deal, that is not news. A couple of people don't realize current year is current year. Not news. No big deal. There wasn't a huge flip out the way, it happened when Mass Effect 3 actually had gay relationships back in the day. That was a pretty big ripping the Band-Aid off. And what was relevant about that is that EA just said, too bad. And this is where I start going, okay, maybe there is a newsworthy story here. Maybe there is. Because you notice when there's some diversity thing in an Activision game, like in Destiny, everybody just kind of goes, meh. It's news for a little bit, but meh. Like, okay. They killed Cade. That was flipping out. People are still in mourning over it. Sorry, spoiler. But, there's characters, different kinds. Whatever. Cool. When Blizzard did it, there was some tee-hee-hee giggle for a little bit. I did not see a big dust up over it. There are plenty of indie games. But EA does it, and it seems like every time they do it, it is a massive shitstorm. Whether it was the, Mass Effect back in the day, whether it was the Battlefield controversy, or now it's Apex Legends. And I'm sitting here going, okay, we are getting out of the realm of coincidence now. We are sort of getting into, there is something about EA that these controversies keep focusing around them. Cause I'm pretty sure there was, a little bit of this in Halo somewhere and nobody flipped out. Ubisoft's had non-binary and not straight characters in their games for, God, Assassin's Creed Syndicate had a non-binary character. They get no freaking credit for that. None. Watch Dogs 2 had a potentially non-binary character too. Like, nobody gives them credit because there's no controversy. Whereas EA, it becomes this big, they make an announcement and they make a statement instead of just letting the work stand for itself. And so I've sort of narrowed it down to two potential explanations for why EA. Why does this always happen to EA? One, EA is the company that publishes all the sports games. Madden, and Madden's like the big one, but Madden, FIFA, all that stuff. So they have a differently socialized, I'll say, I'll be kind, player base than Activision or Ubisoft or, any of those. Sorry, I shouldn't talk about Activision and Blizzard like they're different companies. They're the same company, aren't they? I can't keep track anymore, so apologies for that. Somebody gave me crap about that a while back, and I don't know, I got confused. I'm not feeling well, remember. Bethesda's the other one. Like, you can have, like, not straight characters if you choose in a Bethesda game. No one freaking cares. So, the non-binary character, the certified non-binary character, BioWare's been doing that for years. Granted, they were aliens, but again, you don't see this character's face, so it's still sort of in that territory. But BioWare has had races. The Asari are a non-binary race. Even though they look traditionally like women, there are no male Asari. There are no female Asari. They all are just Asari. And they explain in the game that, people perceive them as women, but they don't take on the female sex role. There's ones that perform more masculine. There's one that perform more feminine. And, people don't recognize that BioWare was really trend-setting with that. Yes, they looked traditionally, attractively female and all that, but baby steps, right? Like, you have to lay the groundwork. Those were non-binary characters. And then, you get a trans character in Dragon Age with Krem. There wasn't even the the big, oh my God, people are really freaking out. I mean, maybe there was, and I just didn't care. But for some odd reason, this popped in a way that really surprised me. Now, maybe because we're going through another period of stupid with this culture war stuff. But I think it's more than that. I think that either EA has a serious problem with their community and they are not doing enough. I am aware BioWare is owned by EA, but they are not doing enough to sort of cultivate this is not cool. If you want to play our games, be cool. Or, and this is going to sound conspiratorial, but hear me out, someone is inflating these non-controversies for PR. Because I haven't seen a really large number of complaints about this. I'm seeing the same 4 or 5 tweets and or Reddit posts and or I don't know what the heck it is. But that's, 4 or 5 out of the millions of people. I'm giving EA a lot of credit for this. But, the millions of people who are going to play this game. That's not an issue. That's not even a drop in the bucket. That is like vapor above the bucket. If only 4 or 5 people complain, we are beyond this. We are beyond this. And that means we owe it to LGBTQ plus people to not make a big deal out of these things. If it is normalized, wonderful. Let's not drag the conversation back into the Stone Age. I don't identify, I consider myself gender atypical. I do not identify as non-binary or anything like that. I don't care what pronouns people call me or anything like that. I had a joke back in high school where somebody called me sir because of, Marcy and Peppermint Patty in Charlie Brown. I don't care. I get called so many names. I do not care what pronoun someone gives me. But the people who either are trans or non-binary that I know, they just want to be able to live their lives. They don't want this grief. They don't want this to be this constant debate that doesn't help them. And so if there are a relatively small number of people that take issue with a non-binary character or heaven forbid a gay character, still, if a few people are backward in their thinking that way and want to complain on a forum, who cares? It's not enough people. It's not enough people to remind LGBTQ plus people of some bad trauma they may have experienced at some point. It's not fair to use people who are getting increasingly less marginalized as it's a slow news day, run it, or a promotional chip. These are people's lives. These are people who are just trying to go about their lives to find safety and security and happiness and prosperity like everyone else. A single part of their identity is not a chip to play in the culture war. And I have been doing LGBTQ plus advocacy / education since I was, 16, 17 years old. Because I had friends in school who were getting beat up for being gay. I won't get into my own stuff. I don't talk about that. Nobody's business. But the goal is supposed to be improved quality of life and decrease marginalization for people who need it, for people whose lives have been negatively affected because of their LGBTQ plus status. And making this into a bigger deal than it has to be is not in service of that. So I would just like everybody to put it away, to let people who identify with these characters because of this identifier, let them enjoy it. The people who still have issues with it, let them scream, mock them, mock them privately if you so choose. But the ongoing fighting on an issue that I maintain gaming is way ahead of everybody else. I mean, Tim Schafer doesn't get thrown out of events for using the ladies' bathroom because the men's room is too long. Oh, I threw shade. That was a joke. Yeah, that happened. The point is that we actually handle this stuff exceptionally well. And we don't get credit for it because the minority of people that still really are hostilely homophobic or transphobic instead of just being, little shit posters who like to get a rise out of people but don't mean anything by it. By the way, if you're doing that, please stop. You're not helping. I can't stop you. I'm just asking nicely. You're making it harder for us to go out and advocate for gaming as a positive community, because what I have seen in gaming is that we are actually way ahead in terms of these issues. We are definitely more trans accepting than the general population. I also think we were way ahead in terms of LGBTQ rights. I think we are still industry-wise, I think we are still a bit behind on certain racial sensitivities, but and that's just because, Silicon Valley tech in general is so overwhelmingly white with the side of like Asian and South Asian, and, blacks and Latinos they are being marginalized still in tech and video games. I do believe that based on evidence I've seen. But in terms of the trans issue, we are way ahead. And we're not getting credit for that because our own press decides to make us look bad as a community when we are actually far, far ahead of most places. Every video game studio I have toured has been an inclusive workplace in that regard, that people can be non-binary. And now I say toured, I have not toured every single one, just the ones I have seen. They have been open. They have been very LGBTQ positive workplaces. Now, some people, individuals may have had bad experiences. So there are people that happens in every workplace. I'm just saying that is not the case in other parts of life. We're very lucky in Canada that, governments can just go, well, we're going to make, trans people a protected class. If you don't like it, scream. And there was big screaming about how it was going to be the fall of society, and it didn't happen. But, we're fortunate that we are not tied up in these endless culture war legislative battles like people are in the United States with bathroom bills. And, they seem to have given up on the gay issue, gay marriage and all that stuff. But they're still very hostile to women's reproductive health, certain parts of the American government. Trans stuff, I think there probably are people who would roll back gay marriage if they could, which is why, I should correct that. There is still stuff with gay rights. I just had a discussion about how somebody pointed out to me that if Democrats keep talking about appealing the Second Amendment, then what's to stop conservatives from going after the 14th? And that's the amendment that protects gay marriage. So it is not settled law in America. I stand corrected in my head. I corrected myself, but there we go. But I'm so not, I don't feel that the same way somebody living in America does, because we're settled on that in Canada. We are extremely, and a lot of video games are made in Canada. So maybe that's an offshoot there. Maybe because we're so chill about it and we have so many game studios that's sort of populated into the regular gaming ether, I'm assuming. But one way or another, gaming is way ahead on these issues. And I am really critical, like I was on race, like I am on some issues involving women. But because of that, I want to be very clear that I actually think gaming is ahead on issues of non-binary and trans acceptance and gay, bi, and pansexual people. And we should get credit for that. And we have to start asking, why aren't we getting credit for that? Well, people keep using LGBTQ plus people as PR stunts. And the game's press does not give credit where credit's due. And that's a problem. And that's why I decided that the Apex Legends story was newsworthy enough to cover, because I can talk about that angle. Because I personally, yay, good for you. You created a character point. I am no more impressed by a character that goes by they than a character who really, really, really likes pickles. Why'd I pick pickles? I have no idea, because my shirt's green and I'm kind of hungry. But these are just one point of a character. You know, I think it's funny that, what's his name? Gibraltar. He's black too, but nobody's pointing that out. And quite frankly, at this point, I'm still happier that, people can play as a black character in gaming, because there are so few black people getting hired at major tech companies. That's actually, like, in some ways, if you can't see it, you can't be it, more important, because the representation is not there. So every time there's a black science character, he's like all techied out, like, that's really important. That's actually very important, like fictional role models for people. And we don't talk about that enough, because there aren't enough black people writing about video games. So I have to do it, and then I get in trouble for don't speak for us cultural appropriation, and then I've got other people going, no, please keep doing it, because no one's making this point. So can you tell I'm frustrated? I'm really frustrated. I'm also powering through because I'm sick. So I'm going to stop now because I'm really feeling awful. I almost showed the Feedback Friday thing instead of Patreon. Here we go. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK, or one-time PayPal donation. If you like this video, thanks for watching.